morning. Welcome to CATEX TV. My name is Frank Fortunato. Today is Friday, August 18th, 2017. If you want to follow us on Twitter, please go to CATEX TV. Yesterday there was another terrorist attack, this time in Spain, in Barcelona. A truck attack, very similar to Nice. This time at least 14 people have died. As many as 100 more are injured, varying degrees of severity of the injuries. Spanish police are mounting a massive manhunt now for an 18-year-old who is alleged to have been the driver of the van, which drove down a crowded sidewalk on Barcelona's Los Ramblas yesterday afternoon. It's a central boulevard. It runs about 3/4 of a mile through the center of Barcelona. The man got out of his truck at the end of his rampage, but police were unable to shoot him because of crowds of tourists. There was also another incident at another town of Cambril, approximately 68 miles southwest of Barcelona, where a rented car drove down a seaside road, plowing into people, killing at least one. That car came to a stop after it overturned. 5 men emerged, brandishing, one was brandishing a knife, others were carrying what looked to be suicide explosive vests. Spanish police promptly killed all 5 of them. The terrorist attack in Barcelona will likely not lead to large-scale payouts by insurers, as a government-owned fund in Spain has the role of covering such events. The fund, the Consorcio de Compensación de Seguros, CCS, has been the direct insurer of losses due to terrorism. It was set up in 1941 to help the industry deal with losses from the Spanish Civil War, which went from 1936 to 1939. The carrier covers direct material damage, business interruption, death, and permanent or temporary disabilities. It can even be triggered by events abroad. The United States Navy has removed the 2 senior officers and the senior enlisted man on the USS Fitzgerald, a warship that almost sank off the coast of Japan in June after it collided with a Philippine container ship. Multiple investigations have yet to apportion blame. However, the Navy said that mistakes by the crew contributed to the deadliest incident on an American warship since the USS Cole was bombed by extremists in Yemen in 2000. The first detailed account from one of those directly involved in the collision said that the cargo ship, the ACX Crystal, had signaled to the USS Fitzgerald, the warship, with flashing lights about 10 minutes before the collision. The Fitzgerald did not respond or alter course. The commercial vessel had the right of way under maritime rules, and the Fitzgerald, which was hit on the starboard side, was likely at fault. One pertinent question is, what was going on in the Fitzgerald Combat Information Center, where crew members monitor radar 24 hours a day and should have detected the approach of a 30,000-ton cargo vessel. The country of Vietnam is battling a raging dengue fever outbreak, with more than 10,000 new infections reported over the last week. It's a 42% increase over the same period last year. A total of about 90,600 people have been infected with the mosquito-borne illness. Some 24 have died. Hanoi and the southern hub of Ho Chi Minh City, formerly Saigon, are hardest hit. Furious Chinese business people in northern China say that Beijing's decision to enforce UN sanctions on North Korean seafood will hobble the economy of a northeastern city there, sparking a rare public protest earlier this week after the surprise move suddenly choked off the trade. China's often lax history of sanctions enforcement had led seafood traders in the city of Hunshan to think that even though the Chinese had agreed to sanctions, they would not be enforced. Once they did in fact enforce them, several dozen people embarked onto the streets to protest. Well, one of those systems in the Caribbean, or to the east of the Caribbean, has formed under a tropical storm. Tropical Storm Harvey is going to begin to bring rain to the Windward Islands sometime tomorrow. Tropical storm warnings have been issued for parts of those islands, including Martinique, St. Lucia, St. Vincent, and the Grenadines. It's going to bring about 4 inches of rain to many of these islands. It's not a threat to the U.S. yet, It's going to move into the Caribbean and likely will pose a threat to Central America and possibly Mexico's Yucatan Peninsula. Just behind it are two other disturbances. There's one that's closer, Invest 92L it's called. That's going to be examined tomorrow by a Hurricane Hunter aircraft. And then there's another tropical wave that emerged off the West African coast yesterday. That's beginning its journey across the Atlantic Ocean. Unless you've been living in a cave for the past couple of weeks or months, you're pretty well aware that there's going to be a solar eclipse on August 21st, Monday, which is going to be largely visible in the U.S. and in many areas of the U.S., 100% totality of the sun being obscured by the moon. This presents some challenges to people who run solar grids, specifically the state of California. California is home to almost half of all the solar power in the country. It's not squarely in the path, but the moon's partial shadow will obscure 90% of the sun in the northern part of the state and 60% of it in the southern part of the state. That's a big problem for California because on most days, solar energy makes up about 40% of the state's power supply. California expects that the decrease in solar power output is going to be equivalent to the need to find power to provide what 6 million homes use. Other leading solar states will see an effect too. Duke Energy in North Carolina expects to lose about 90% of its solar supply, and NV Energy in Nevada also expects to see a dip. Energy officials are asking Californians to turn off lights for several hours on the morning of August 21st, just to give the grid a little extra help. That's the news for today. If we have any breaking news, we'll come back and tell you. Have a good weekend. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you Monday.